So you're going to start off with a slip knot. And you're going to make a chain of 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So this measures about 13 centimeters. You can see that. And if you're doing for a bigger size, I would advise you to do some more chains. You go some chains up, maybe to 15 for a size medium, about 18 to 20 for a size large. So after your chain of 20, you're going to go into the second chain from the hook. So not this one, but this one. So you insert your hook, pull up a loop. You'll have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same exact chain, pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through all. So that's our very first bean stitch. And then you're going to chain 1, skip 1 chain, and then into the next you're going to insert your hook, pull up a loop. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the same exact chain, pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all. That's your second bean stitch. So we are going to repeat this. Chain 1, skip the next chain, insert your hook into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook into the same chain, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all. So we are creating these bean stitches. So far we have 3. Chain 1. We are going to repeat this all the way across. Don't forget to always chain 1 in between the bean stitches. So we're in our very last one. So after your second last bean stitch, you'll have 2 chains left. So you'll chain 1 and go into the last chain after skipping the second last. Go into the last chain and place a bean stitch. That's it. And for 20 chains as the foundation chain, I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I have 10 bean stitches across. Then I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. So look closely. You will have a gap here attached to the bean stitch. We don't work anything into the chain 1 space. We go into this space attached to the bean stitch. So after you chain 1 and turning, you're going to do a bean stitch into the very first bean stitch. Chain 1, you'll see that space again, into the second bean stitch, place a bean stitch, chain 1, bean stitch into the next bean stitch, chain 1, and continue to do that. So the number of bean stitches in row 1 will be the same exact number of bean stitches in the next rows to come. So that means row 2 is also going to have a total of 10 bean stitches. because that's the number of bin stitches that we had for row 1. Bin stitch, chain 1, bin stitch, chain 1, bin stitch. So this is our second last one, and then you're going to chain 1, and you're going to go into the 2 loops at the top of the very last bin stitch, so here, and place your last bin stitch. So let's cross check. Row 2 we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 bin stitches. So the number of bin stitches is constant. So chain 1, turn your work, and do the same exact thing as row 2. So 1 bin stitch into each bin stitch, separated by chain 1 spaces. So chain 1, bin stitch, chain 1, bin stitch, chain 1, bin stitch, chain 1. Let me speed through this so that we come to the end. Okay, so we are placing our last bin stitch into the very last bin stitch from the previous row, and this is what you should have. You should notice that the bin stitch creates zigzag patterns and it's highly textured. So this is what we have. Now we're going to continue working our patch until it measures the same length as the beginning length. So we started with 13 centimeters, which is approximately 5 inches, and we want to work our patch until it's 13 centimeters long so that we have a perfect square. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll meet you guys back when I'm having a perfect square for my patch. Alright, so in order for me to get 13 centimeters, I had to do a total of 14 rows for my bin stitch. So it's 20 chains for the beginning, for the foundation chain, and then a total of 14 rows in order to get a perfect square, which is 13 by 13 centimeters. So after this, after achieving a perfect square, I don't know what foundation chain you started with, because I'm very sure for the bigger sizes you chained more so that your sweater is a bit wider. So after this, you will chain 1 and then cut your yarn. So this patch cardigan is going to be a little bit different because we are not going to be making many of these. Instead, we are going to be working in strips, and by that I mean something like this. These are not joined here with a darning needle or anything. You just continue working on top of what you already have so that we don't have to go through the hassle of sewing these together. We are going to sew strips together. So this creates a neater look for patchwork cardigans, because I have seen a challenge of sort of untidiness when it comes to people who sew in between these patches. So I decided to do this so that mine is a little bit neater and we have less joinings in between. So after this, you're going to introduce your next color. For me, that will be pink. You're going to make a slip knot and attach into the very last stitch that you worked. On your 14th row, you'll just turn your work. So we stopped here, turn your work, and into the very first bin stitch, attach your pink color with a slip stitch, and then you're going to chain 1, and then 1 bin stitch into the very first bin stitch, chain 1, 1 bin stitch into the next, chain 1, 1 bin stitch into the next. So we are basically repeating row 2 that we've been doing all along until we get the length of the pink that we want. And so after row 14 of gray, you should be very aware that all your squares should be a total of 14 rows and a width of 13 centimeters. So all we are going to do is repeat the same exact thing again and again until we have a total of 14 rows for pink. So we are done with our very first row, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The bin stitches are still the same number. Make sure you don't tamper with that, otherwise you'll be distorting the shape of the square. So chain 1, turn your work, and repeat the same exact row until you have a total of 14 rows. So this method also helps us not to have so many loose ends lying around. The loose ends are always, they're only at these points when we're introducing a new color. So let me finish up this row and I show you what to do next. So we are done with row 3 of pink. Now I'm going to introduce one of the strips. So this is the strip that I already worked. It's gray, pink, gray, pink, gray, pink. Now you're going to decide how long you want your sweater to be. For me, for now, I still feel like 3 squares are long enough, but in case I find it short, there's still room for me to add 1 more square at the base. So for now, I'm doing 3 squares for the front, yeah, and then 3 squares for the back. But then the difference is you're going to just make 1 long strip. We started with gray and then pink and then gray and then pink, gray and pink, and then you just fold it over like this. You just fold it into half. Let me take this away. You just fold it into half, and you'll have gotten the front panel and the back panel at the same time. So you're going to go ahead and do another strip. Let me introduce another strip. So same exact process. I have white, gray, and white. So I'm using 3 colors. Remember, as I said in the beginning, I'm going to be using 3 colors. So this is my front panel. I'm going to put it away. So let's look at the back panel. I'm using gray, pink, and gray, then white, gray, and white, then gray, pink, and gray. So this is what we have for our back panel. When you fold over these 2 strips like this, you'll create 2 front panels. You'll see that you don't even have to join the shoulder portion. So the side strips should be a total of 6 colors. And then the middle back strip should be a total of 3 colors. So white, gray, and white. And then these ones of gray, pink, and gray. And then the front ones, which are pink, gray, and pink. So we folded over our work. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense to you right now, but this is the main body of the sweater. This is where your neck is going to be positioned, and then these are the shoulder portions of the sweater. They're already joined. So when we slide it down a bit, you will make 2 small strips of 1.5 colors. And by 1.5, I mean 14 rows and then half of 14 is 7. So the second color should be having 7 rows, and that is going to create room for the armhole. So this strip is going to be folded into half, and it's going to be placed on the side of the sweater like that, so that we leave room for the sleeve. That is room for the sleeve, and you're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing on the opposite side. So 14 rows, 7 rows of the next color, and then fold it into half and place it on the side of your sweater, just like we did on the other side. So it will also create room for the sleeve. So right now what we are going to do is to join the pieces together using a darning needle. And since my main color is gray, I'm going to be joining using gray because every portion has a gray side to it. So I'll be joining using my main color, which is gray. And I want to first form the basic shape of the sweater. So right now we have I have a gray strand from this piece, and I'm going to just get my darning needle, put it through, and we're going to start joining. Make sure your work is assembled the same exact way that you want it to appear. So I'm going to be using a mattress stitch. I have 7 stitches here, and then 7 rows and 14 rows here. So I'm going to count to the 7th row. This is my 7th row. That means this is halfway of these 14 rows. And I'm going to just go in and out. Like that. I'm going into those lines in between the rows. Those are the lines I'm going into. So since the front and the back look exactly the same, I'll just, at the end of it all, I'll just choose whatever side looks better after joining the patches together. Okay, so this is what we have, and you can see that the joining part is on this side. You can see that bulge, but when you look here, we don't have anything that shows that we've even joined the 2 pieces together. So after this, I'm going to just go into one last stitch, and then I'm going to remove my darning needle because we may need this strand again somewhere else, but I'm not going to cut it. I would have gone all the way down, but since this is pink and white, we don't want to introduce a gray shade in between here. So for this part, I'll use white or pink, one of the 2 colors. So let me go with pink. Just grab your pink color, put it through your darning needle, and do the same exact thing. So you start joining from the gray point, somewhere there, like like that, but don't fully pull it through, like that. And then do the same thing on this side from the gray point, and then pull it, and we're going to start joining. So you can see that since I've used pink, we are not seeing any seam lines. Yet if I had used gray, it would be showing in between the pink and white. So be mindful of what color to use to join the patches together. You want your work to look flawless. Even if it's patchwork, we shouldn't be seeing the seam lines. Okay, see how this looks like? I'm going to go all the way down. Alright, so this is what we have right now. We finished joining the two strips on this side. And I'm going to just pull through this and leave that tail. I'll weave in all the ends at the same time when I'm done with everything and I'm satisfied with the placement and the results. So this is what we have right now. This is how your work will look like when joined together. But when you see the inside, we have the flaws on the inside. We have that bulge, but we don't care because that's not the right side of our work. So after this, I'm going to go ahead and keep joining these places here. Remember, we don't join to the front. Leave the front panel alone. And we are going to use gray, and we join from here all the way down. But make sure you're doing it on the right side so that the bulge goes on the wrong side. So I'll just turn my work around like this, and I start joining my two panels or strips together. So let me go ahead and do that. We are just repeating the same exact process. Nothing is changing. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll meet you back when I have that ready. Okay, so we are back and I've joined all the way up. I'll just pull out my darning needle and then we go back to the front of our work. So you can see this is the wrong side of our work, because this is the back panel, this one, and this is the front panel. So I'm going to go ahead and also make a joining at this point. I'm going to fold over this second strip here on the side, and I'm going to join it to this part. But this time I'm going to be using gray because it's the binding color on both sides. So grab your gray and just like we did on this part, we did halfway the gray and then the solid color. So we're going to turn our work to the right side because the joining is always worked on the right side so that the bulge can push on the inside of our work. So you're going to just do this and start joining from here all the way to here. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and do the same exact process that we did on this side onto this side. So we shall join here. Make sure you're always joining on the right side of your work so that the bulge is on the wrong side of your work. So we shall join this to this, and then this to this. I've already joined here. So go ahead and do the joinings, and then I'll meet you back when the main body of the sweater is finished. So this is how your work will look like after joining everything. We have 3 strips for our back panel. Then we have the shoulder portion. Then we have the side panels that are folded into half, which are these ones. Then both sides, like that. And then we have the 2 front panels. And you can see how the back looks like. We shall weave in all these ends. Actually, I think that's the next step. I'm going to weave in each and every end so that I get rid of these loose strands. But when it comes to these ones that are in the middle, I no longer need them, so I'll just make a triple knot. That's all I'm going to do. And when that's done, you chop the thread. So this is the wrong side of our work. And you're going to continue doing this, and this is going to reduce on the number of loose ends that are on our sweater. So at this point we have the general shape of our vest ready, and we are now going to be working on the edges of the vest, on the armholes, on the neck part all the way down, and then the bottom ribbing. So I'm going to start off with the bottom ribbing. You're going to make a slip knot and turn your work upside down. I'm going to attach my yarn into the very first bin stitch with a slip stitch, and now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and that counts as our very first double crochet. And then you're going to go into the chain space with 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet into the next bin stitch, 1 double crochet into the next chain 1 space, and that's all we are doing. So my ribbing part is going to be gray because I decided that gray would be my main color for this project. So I'm going to go all the way around this piece from this end to this end, doing the same exact thing. 1 double crochet into each bin stitch and 1 double crochet into each chain 1 space. Okay, so I'm coming to the end here, and I've placed one double crochet into the last bin stitch, and then I'll go into the next bin stitch of white and I'll place one double crochet, and then one double crochet into the chain one space, and that's how we are going to continue this row, and I'll meet you guys back at this point. So I've made it all the way across, and now I'm going to chain 3 and turn, and I'm going to do front post, back post, double crochet. So you're not going to go into the very first stitch, you're going to go into the next stitch with a front post. So you put your hook behind the post and place your double crochet normally, and then you do a back post. So for a back post, you go in from the back and push the post to the back, and then double crochet, and then front post, back post. I'm sorry for the noise, there's some construction work going on outside my office, but I hope I can explain this clearly. So we are just alternating between front post and back post double crochet all the way back. So this will create that ribbed effect. So we are going to do that all the way across the bottom of our vest. So I've made it across for row 2 of the bottom edging, and now I'm going to chain 3, turn my work. So every stitch that's popping out onto the side that you're facing should be getting a front post double crochet, and every stitch that goes backwards like this one should get a back post double crochet, so that we maintain the ribbing effect. So this one is popping on the outside, so it will get a front post. This one goes to the back, so it will get a back post double crochet, and we are going to keep alternating between that, between the 2 stitches all the way across. And we are going to repeat this row like this until we get the thickness of the ribbing that we want. So I ended up making a total of 4 rows for my bottom ribbing instead of 5, because 5 would be too thick. And now we're going to start working on the inner opening of the vest. So I'm going to attach my yarn, at this corner here, and into every double crochet space I'm going to be creating 2 double crochets. So chain 3, which counts as one of the double crochets, then 1 more double crochet into the same row, and then 2 double crochets into the next row, 2 double crochets into the next row, 2 double crochets into the next row. So far we have 8, and now we are going onto the body of the vest. So 2 double crochets into the big spaces. So this one is a big space, so it will get 2 double crochets, and into the small spaces, which are these ones, you place 1 double crochet, then 2 double crochets into the big spaces, and then 1 double crochet into the small space. So that's the repeat for this part, and we are going to go all the way up to the collar side. So So when you get to the top part of your sweater, this is where your neck is going to be placed. So you're going to go into each chain one space and into each stitch with a double crochet. So each bin stitch gets one and each chain one space. Bin stitch, chain one space. Bin stitch, chain one space, and do that all the way across. So when you make it across the neck, you're going to repeat the same exact process that we were doing on this side, all the way down to the base of the vest. So one double crochet into the small space and then two double crochets into the big space. One double crochet. So since this has created a very big gap in between, I'm going to improvise and I squeeze one more double crochet somewhere around here to close up that gap. So two double crochets, one double crochet, two double crochets, and do that all the way down to the base. So I ended my row by placing two double crochets into each double crochet row of the ribbing, of the bottom ribbing. So after this, you're going to chain 3 and this counts as your very first double crochet, and we are going to jump into the same system of the ribbed effect. So chain 3, turn your work. We are going to be working all the way around again from this side to this side. So after your chain 3, you're going to front post double crochet into the next stitch, back post double crochet into the next, and we are going to repeat that all the way to the opposite side. So from this side until here, and we are going to do that for a total of, this is the second row of the inner ribbing, so I want a total of 3 rows. So after this row, you're going to go ahead and do one more row of the ribbing, just like we did for the bottom ribbing. Alright, so this is what you'll have after working on the inner ribbing as well as the neckline. Your work will look like this. Now I've already worked the ribbing on one sleeve, and I'm going to show you what exactly I did on this side onto this side, because this side is still bare, we haven't yet worked there. So you're going to grab your gray yarn and you're going to attach it at any corner, but I prefer to attach it at the back, somewhere at the back here, before this corner here. So I'll attach it into this space or into this space. So this is a small space, as you can see. This is a small space, these are the big spaces. This is small, big, small, big. So the small space gets one double crochet. So when I attach and I chain 3, that counts as our very first double crochet. And now we are going to place 2 double crochets into the big space, like that. Then 1 into the small space, 2 into the big space, and continue to do that until you get to the corner. So I've reached the corner. We have one small space, then we go to the gray. So we're going to prepare for a double crochet. Place one double crochet, but don't finish it. So pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, and now you're going to go into the corner. Just find somewhere to place your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, and then go into one of the spaces of the gray part. So I'll go into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two. You will have 4 loops on your hook and yarn over, pull through all. So right now we are done working on the corner part. Now you're going to place one double crochet into each chain one space and one double crochet into each bin stitch. All the way across the armpit part of the vest. Okay, so as you come to the second corner, you are going to do the same exact thing that we did for the first corner. You're going to do 3 double crochets together. So this is the, let me do one more double crochet here, and now I'm left with one bin stitch, and then we have a corner here and then one space here. This is a small space. So we're going to prepare for a double crochet. Go into the last bin stitch on this side, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, then prepare for a double crochet. Go into the corner, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, then prepare for a double crochet, and then go into the small space on this side, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two. You'll have 4 loops on your hook and yarn over, pull through all. So we've done 3 double crochets together. So after this, you're going to just go back to the pattern of doing 1 double crochet into each small space and 2 double crochets into each big space. So this is a big space, so it will get 2 double crochets and then 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, so we're going to do this all the way up to this point where we started from, because the rest is all the same. So I've made it all the way back, and we're just going to go on top of the very first chain 3 and place a slip stitch there. So we've gone around the sleeve with a double crochet row. Now the next thing to do is to start the ribbing effect. So that we are going to use the front post, back post double crochet, just like we did before. So you're going to chain 3 and place a front post double crochet into the next stitch, back post double crochet into the next, front post, back post, and continue to do that until you get to the corner. The corner has the stitches that we joined together. So I've reached that point where we have 3 double crochets together. You can see this. So you're going to, since this is a back post double crochet, you're going to prepare for double crochet and we are going to do a front post in the very first stitch, but don't finish it, then a back post into the next stitch, don't finish it, and then a front post into the next stitch, which is the third stitch, don't finish it. So we have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all. So we've still done 3 double crochets together, but front post, back post. So after this, you're going to, since this was a front post, that means this one gets a back post, front post, back post, and you're going to continue this. And when you get to this second corner, you're going to do the same exact thing that we've done here and continue to go all the way around until you get to this point. So we've gone all the way around for round 2 of the sleeve, and after your last stitch, you'll just place a slip stitch into the very first chain 3, and then you're going to chain 3, and you're going to repeat this row all the way around, placing front post and back post double crochet. So all the stitches that pop outwards will get front posts, and then all the stitches that move to the back get back post double crochets to keep the ridges in one line. So we are going to continue doing that until we get to the corners where we do 3 double crochets together, but still front post and back post, until we make it all the way back to the beginning of our round. So it's basically the same exact thing that we did for round 2. So we've reached this point where we have 3 stitches together. We are going to do 3 double crochets together, but alternating between front post and back post double crochets. And we are going to go all the way around until the end of our round 3, and I'll meet you back at this point. So after making it all the way around, you're going to go into the very first chain 3 and make a slip stitch, and after this you're going to chain 1 and cut your yarn. And now we have the ribbing of the sleeve ready. You can see both sides are balanced. We have this on this side and then this on this side. Now the next thing that we are going to do is to weave in all our ends. Make sure you weave in every tail that's on your sweater, and the project is literally done. Thank you so much for being patient throughout this tutorial. I know it doesn't take like a very short time to make, but it's worth the wait because I'm very pleased with the final result. And I hope you liked this tutorial. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, you leave a comment in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Bye.